Hello guys, Nathanias here, coming at you again with another build on unorthodox Terran play. This replay is coming from MLG Columbus, Losers Round 3. This was a best of 3 between myself, Nathanias, spawning as the blue Terran in the bottom right side of Antigua Shipyard against Leviathan's Pozzestomp, spawning as the obviously red Protoss in that top left corner. Now, for this purposes of this video, I'll give a bit of context here. This was game 2 of our best of 3, losers round 3, as I said before. And my opponent had defeated me in the first game. This is back when I wasn't really that good of a macro player. I did a lot of kooky styles, and I was currently in my transition to becoming a macro player that I am today. So I couldn't really hold myself up in a standard game against him. And I felt like if I really wanted to get past round 3, I was going to have to do something a little crazy. So what I'm going to be showing you here is a very special treat. I think it's something that I've really refused to teach people, something that I don't like terribly. I feel like there are a lot of flaws with it, but I have had resounding success with this strategy, and prior to really becoming dedicated to getting good at this game, this was my go-to strategy. So it's a standard 12 racks, 13 gas, 16 supply depot build. It's going to be a 1-1-1 opener. I call this, if you may have heard of it on my stream before, the I Hate Protoss build. This is basically what I pull out against anybody that has either made me angry or anyone that's so good that I really just don't think I can take him in a straight-up game. I like to keep the ball in my court. I call this the taking aggression back. So we're going to get this factory. We're going to get another gas. Got our Marines, and we're going to go build a reactor now, and I like to put a bunker at the top of the ramp just to be extra safe. Now, I did scout that my opponent was going for very standard play. He's going to be doing a 1 gateway expand. All right, we have 3 pylons, 1 gas. He's chronoing on this stalker. You know, he's not really doing anything terribly out of the ordinary. So he's going to send this probe down, boom, 1 gateway expand. If you can't tell, he's got 1 gateway. Dad ass. All right, so yeah, he's gonna come. He's gonna do this little poke thing, right? He knew that I fast expanded the last game and did a 1 racks expand the previous game, and I lost to some 3-gate counter pressure because I was really bad. Now I get this Hellion out. I'm like, whatever, you know. I like to do double Hellion scout pretty much because if once they see the first Hellion, they prepare their bodies. Obviously, again, you know, getting supply block, all sorts of wonderful magical things. Now we open with a Raven. I like to open with a Raven primarily because when we do this 1-1-1, obviously, in case you missed it, you know, okay, so we got our factory after enough money. As soon as the factory is done, we got our second gas. After where the factory was done, we built a starport and we built a tech lab with the factory. Now, we'll build 2 Marines and then the reactor. So this comes just after the factory finishes. Just want to make sure I go clearly over everything. Now, we make 2 Hellions and then we just book it, right? So he's going to see it. But, you know, having 2 Hellions gives us a chance to actually kill probes because we can get a probe kill with 2 full volleys instead of having to go for 3. So I like to open with a Raven because this makes us invulnerable to things like, oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, you have a starport, so auto turrets help against regular things, but it pretty much, like, really weird things like blink builds you can do some damage against because you can pick off of the observer a little more easily. You can obviously spot Dark Templar. I've won countless games just because the person DT rushed me. Now the Hellions run in, you know, we try to get some kills. In this instance, we don't get any. You don't want to lose them, obviously. Didn't want to throw them away. He got he had a decent block at his rim, so there wasn't anything going to happen there. Now, my Raven, whatever, boom. Then we start our Cloak and we start our Banshee. And there's a timing built around this build where our whole purpose is to make a push with this Raven after we deny scouting and 2 Banshees. Now, I didn't even notice. Does he actually see? Does he actually look over? He may not have looked back to see that Banshee. However, this game was back in March, so I mean, it was not the most recent game. So we come up here, we kill the Observer, and immediately our second Banshee is almost done. Cloak will be done by the time we reach their base. We're gonna send out our Raven to our opponent's base. Go, Raven, go! Now this game, our push works a little more effectively than intended. I guess I poke in with this Banshee first for a little bit, just to try to force some rage or whatever. Now we send the Raven with the other Banshee. This Banshee is going to be just kind of kept chilling back here. Now, in terms of the next step is we get a command center. In the meantime, we've also built a tech lab on our siege tank. You can do this. You can also go for a double starport Banshee opener. However, I find that it's sometimes you don't get to deny the scout. You can miss the angle the observer approaches your base from, and they can begin either getting a Stargate, which the earlier they get one, the better for them. But once we get rolling on 2 bases, we don't really care about Stargate tech. So I like to open with this siege tank because it makes us really, really safe against counter all-ins. I've actually had about 11 draws using this build when I didn't go siege tanks. I had 11 draws against Protoss on ladder, all hour-long games, because I would be able to kill them with a massive airball, but it's so slow that they would just kill everything. So the art of this I call the point defense drone push. I call this the PDD push. I'm making a gesture with my hands at my chest, just pushing forward. Now, the whole point of this Raven is you've got 150-ish energy. Okay, we've killed a Stalker already. We've entered the base. Actually, I'll even go back just a little bit so we can get just a clear shot of how we approach a Protoss with this push. So he's going to step up. The first thing we do, we throw a point defense drone up. Now, you don't want to throw it up back over here. You really want to be able to work this mineral line for 2 purposes. A, you could either kill all his Stalkers and then his probes, or B, you can just kill all his probes. Or C, secret option C, he just moves his probes away and he's mining off of, you guessed it, 1 base. So we're going to come up here and the Banshees are going to pick off a Stalker, and the best part about having this Raven at 150 energy is I get to drop an auto turret, right? You might say, Nathanias, what does an auto turret do? Well, guess what? Your auto turret has 6 range, does a decent amount of damage, and can shoot up. And guess what? Your Raven reveals shit. So this observer suddenly isn't as safe as your Protoss player would want it to be. So I'm going to come up here. He's going to pull his probes. He's mining off 1 base. Mind you, not mining any gas right now. He's going to bring these Stalkers up. He's going to bring his observer. Now we have to make sure that with the auto turret, we want to target fire his observer, because even if we don't kill it, it will usually cause the AI of the observer to back off, thereby hiding our cloaked units. So at this point, our opponent actually, well, he wasn't mining gas, right? So he can't really afford to make that many Stalkers. He's also been supply blocked from us killing his pylons. And now, with our point defense and our engaging into our auto turret, we're actually able to kill his Nexus. We're actually able to kill his Nexus. Mind you, this is not a low master Protoss. This is a high master Protoss. Lev pauses stomp. Played him. This was round 3, losers bracket of MLG. This was a strategy employed competitively and not just run against some random ladder scrub. While he may have been able to react more properly, I just want you to know that the caliber of my opponent is most likely better than whoever you're playing on ladder. If you're another master or grandmaster, I apologize, but I just want to make it clear that I found this strategy to be very viable, running it for approximately 3 entire months with a 70% plus win rate. Now, this is honestly one of very few occasions where I've been able to cause this much damage, and I think it's because our opponent hadn't taken any gas here. So he just starts to bank a ton of minerals, and no gas, he can't really make Stalkers. So our transition here is going to be into a Sky Terran style. We've moved down this command center. We're just basically just pumping out Marines. Our Marines we don't really care about them, but it's good to have units back home. I've also been producing siege tanks because, well, we don't want to lose a base trade. So now that we've secured our other base, we're going to get another starport. We're going to drop some extra barracks because having bio support is always nice. It's always nice. Bio counters anything that counters Sky. Now we're going to move 2 Banshees in from this side as our opponent begins to move out a force of Zealot Immortal. By the way, if you're curious as to why your opponent may have a bunch of Zealots and Immortals when you're going for Sky Terran, it's because we do a 1-1-1 opener. I found that going for 1 Rax FE into double Starport Banshee is both incredibly flimsy and incredibly easy to scout. The fast Raven is amazing because you deny scouting, and not only that, it just looks like a 1-1-1. The counter to a 1-1, you guessed it, Zealots and Immortals. You usually go light because usually go light on the Stalkers, hence our opponent's problem with holding his main base, due to the fact that the Banshees are mostly there to just poke away and not really the brunt of your force. We do have a large Marine siege tank force, however, we are not all-inning our opponent with it. We are beginning the Great Wall of China while we commence endless harass. Think of this as your 30 spine crawlers at the natural, your Zerg ramp, and think of these Banshees as your Mutalisks. We want to harass our opponent anytime he even thinks about leaving his base. So our opponent's going to make a nice push. However, our wall is done. We weren't able to load the bunkers, but Marines and siege tanks can, as you can see, Zealots and Immortals are pretty good against this unit composition. However, we're still able to hold this rather nicely. Our Banshees that come out help. And off F2 base, we are running 3 starports, 1 factory, and 3 barracks. So generally, we know we're just running this. Obviously, back in these days, my macro slash multitasking really wasn't that great. Not to imply that it's great now, but we basically just put the pressure on from all sides. If you look at the units killed, we've killed about 30 probes this game so far, and this was my comeback against this player. This was MLG. I was down 1 game. If I lost this game, I knew that I was out. I was done. That would have ended my MLG run. And while I didn't expect to win, I wanted to get as far as I could, just so you understand. This may not have been the best game ever played, but I was very focused, to say the least. So we're gonna move these Marines down, and it's gonna be, you know, blah 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 blah. I mean, at this point, we pretty much won the game just with our harass. So I don't really need to show you much of Sky Terran. That's just the solid build opener. This opener is the opener that you would see me do any game. The next game, I'm going to show you the late mid game of Sky Terran versus Protoss, and we're going to go over some things. The opener is a little bit different. I felt that this was more important to show you because this is the opener that you should be trying to copy.